Have you ever reached the end of a long day, sat in the quiet, and wondered why heaven feels so silent when your heart has been praying so hard? Maybe you have asked God for strength, for direction, for one clear sign that things are going to change, and yet the same burden is still there when the morning comes. The pressure has not lifted. The answer has not arrived. The door you hoped would open still seems closed. And after a while, the hardest part is not always the pain itself. Sometimes the hardest part is wondering whether anyone sees what you are carrying at all. A lot of good people know that feeling. They keep showing up. They keep believing. They keep trying to do the right thing, trying to stay kind, trying to hold their family together, trying not to fall apart in front of everyone else. On the outside, life may still look steady, but deep down, there is a quiet ache that never seems to leave. It is the ache of waiting. The ache of asking, the ache of hoping that this prayer, this time, will finally be the one that changes everything. And when the silence stretches longer than expected, a question begins to rise in the soul. God, are you still here? God, do you still see me? God, why does it feel like nothing is moving? If that question has ever lived in your heart, then this message is for you, because there are seasons in life when people feel forgotten, when nothing seems to make sense, when the road ahead looks dim, and the weight of uncertainty feels heavier than words can explain. But those seasons are not always what they seem. Sometimes, in the very place where we think we have been abandoned, God is working in ways too deep for the eye to see. Sometimes His silence is not His absence. Sometimes the delay is not denial. Sometimes the stillness we fear is the very ground where faith is quietly being strengthened. In this message, we are going to take a closer look at those hidden seasons of life. We are going to talk honestly about the waiting, the disappointment, the prayers that seem unanswered, and the quiet pain people carry behind polite smiles. But we are also going to talk about something stronger than fear. We are going to talk about what it means to trust that God is still at work, even when life feels still, even when the path is unclear, even when the heart is tired. Because sometimes the greatest struggle is not suffering alone. Sometimes it is not understanding what God is doing in the middle of it. And that is exactly where many faithful people find themselves. Not at the end of belief, but in the middle of a silence they do not know how to explain. The truth is, silence does not always mean absence. A quiet season does not mean God has stepped away. It often means He is doing something deeper than what can be measured in immediate results. That can be hard to accept when you have prayed sincerely, tried to live with integrity, and waited longer than you thought you would ever have to wait. It is one thing to trust God when the answer comes quickly. It is another thing entirely to trust Him when the job does not come through, when the relationship still hurts, when the bills keep stacking up, when someone you love is drifting, or when you carry a burden so private that almost no one around you even knows it is there. In moments like that, the human heart often makes a painful mistake. It interprets delay as rejection. It assumes that if nothing is changing, then nothing is happening. But that is not how God works. In the Christian life, waiting is often a place of formation, not a sign of abandonment. It is where motives are purified, where pride begins to loosen its grip, where dependence on God becomes more than a phrase, and where faith grows roots deep enough to survive more than one hard season. That does not make the waiting easy. It simply means the waiting may have a purpose greater than what we can see while we are inside it. Many people know what it feels like to look around and think everyone else is moving forward while they are standing still. Someone else found clarity. Someone else found healing. Someone else found open doors. Meanwhile, they are still praying the same prayer, with tired eyes and a weary heart. But a hidden season does not mean a wasted season. Some of the most important things God builds in a person can only be formed in the quiet. Character is built there. Patience is built there. Humility is built there. Discernment is built there. Trust is built there. And often, those gifts are preparing a person for what they once thought they were only waiting to receive. Think of someone who loses more than they ever expected. A job disappears. A long relationship comes apart. The future they pictured for themselves suddenly looks unfamiliar. At first, all they can see is what is missing. But over time, something begins to change within them. They start praying with more honesty. They listen more carefully. They become gentler with other people, because suffering has made them more compassionate. They stop measuring life only by visible success and begin noticing the quiet ways grace has been carrying them all along. Later, when they look back, they realize that God was not ignoring them in that season. He was preparing the person before providing the answer, and that may be closer to your story than you think. What you are asking for may not have arrived yet, not because you are forgotten, but because your heart, your timing, or even your direction is still being shaped. Sometimes God works first in the unseen places within us, because what He wants to do through our lives begins with what He is doing inside us now. And once a person begins to understand that God may still be working in the hidden places, the next question becomes deeply practical. How do you stay steady when life still feels heavy? How do you keep moving when your heart is tired and your answers are incomplete? The truth is, staying steady rarely begins with something dramatic. Most of the time, it begins with small, faithful choices that look ordinary from the outside, but become powerful over time. It may mean sitting quietly with God for a few minutes in the morning before the noise of the day begins. It may mean speaking to Him honestly instead of trying to sound polished or strong. It may mean opening Scripture not because you have all the energy in the world, but because you need one true word to hold on to. It may mean thanking God for one small mercy today, even if today is not the day your larger prayer gets answered. That kind of faith may seem simple, but it is not weak. In fact, some of the strongest people are not the ones who always appear confident. They are the ones who keep showing up with faith when life has given them every reason to withdraw. Strength does not always look like certainty. Sometimes it looks like praying again. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace over panic for the next 10 minutes. Sometimes it looks like calling a trusted friend from church, going to worship when your heart feels flat, or refusing to isolate yourself when discouragement whispers that no one would understand. A steady life is often built through steady habits, and in hard seasons, one small faithful step is not nothing. It is a quiet kind of victory. I have seen this in the lives of people who were not rescued overnight, but were changed day by day. A man loses a job he counted on for years, and for a while he feels shaken to the core. He does not suddenly become fearless. He simply decides that every morning, before checking his phone or giving in to worry, he will sit with God for 10 minutes and place the day in His hands. One day becomes a week becomes a month. His circumstances do not change all at once, but something inside him begins to settle. He speaks more gently at home. He listens better. He stops measuring every day by what went wrong and starts noticing what grace is sustaining. The breakthrough begins there, not first in his circumstances, but in his inner life. And that is often how God works. We ask Him to remove every burden, and sometimes He does. But other times, before He lifts the weight, He strengthens the shoulders carrying it. He changes the way we see. He changes the way we forgive. He changes the way we hope. He changes the way we walk through uncertainty. Peace in Christ is not pretending nothing hurts. It is not denial. It is the deep assurance that even here, even now, you are not alone. So if your life still feels unfinished, do not believe the lie that you are forgotten, too late, or beyond purpose. Thanks for watching. God is still writing, and the next chapter can still carry meaning greater than you can see today. So as we come to the end of this message, let us return to the truth that has been quietly unfolding through every part of it. If your life feels still, if your prayers seem delayed, if your heart is carrying more than most people know, that does not mean God has stepped away from you. Silence is not abandonment. The waiting season you are in may not be easy, and it may not yet make sense, but that does not mean it is empty. Sometimes the very season that feels the most confusing is the one where God is doing some of His deepest work. He is still present. Your waiting can still have purpose. And even now, one faithful step still matters. That is why I want to say this to you as plainly and sincerely as I can. Be gentle with yourself in this season. Do not shame yourself for feeling tired. Do not condemn yourself because your faith has had to fight harder than usual. Being weary does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. And sometimes, one of the most faith-filled things a person can do is simply keep turning toward God, even with a tired heart, even with unanswered questions, even with tears they do not always know how to explain. The Lord is not asking you to be flawless. He is inviting you to stay near. He is not waiting for you to have perfect words. He is listening for the honest cry of your heart. And if this message has met you in a real place today, I would love for you to stay part of this moment. In the comments, share what you are praying for right now. Share what you are waiting on. Or if God has already brought you through a hard season, share a few words of encouragement for someone else who may be listening with a heavy heart tonight. Sometimes, the testimony that strengthens another person is not long or dramatic. Sometimes it is simply the reminder that God was faithful, even in the dark, even in the waiting, even when the answer took longer than expected. And if you believe this message could bring comfort to someone you care about, share it with them. Subscribe if you want more messages like this, messages that speak to real burdens with hope, honesty, and faith. And if you can, leave a word of encouragement below, because you never know who may need that one sentence to keep going. There are people all around us, carrying silent battles, and sometimes kindness, truth, and faith can reach them in ways we do not fully see. So tonight, or this morning, or wherever this message finds you, hold on to this. God is still here. He has not lost sight of your story. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are not walking through this season alone. And even if you cannot see the whole road tonight, you can still trust the one who walks with you.